Um, just so everyone knows, you are being recorded, so any participation, when you stand up, please give us your name and address for the record when it comes to questions to the public. All right, thank you.
All right, roll call. Joel Samuelson,
Present.
Aaron McManaway, John Miller,
Present.
Chester Goode,
Present.
Dan Osborne,
Present.
John Houghton,
Yes, sir.
Jerry Seiler,
Present.
Bob Cooper.
Present.
All present.
All right, all rise for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would anybody like to approve the August 20th, 24 minutes?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. All right, we have an application before us, case number 2024 E17, 451 North State Street, Culver, Indiana. An application has been filed by Patrick L. and Colleen Sullivan to approve a rezoning of parcel. Rezoning request is to change current zoning of Residence 1 to Residence 2. The reason for the zoning change request is for a new detached accessory dwelling unit, a DADU, be built over the existing garage. To go ahead and open the public. Or discuss.
Yeah.
100%.
Sure.
So my name is Patrick Sullivan, 451 State Street. My family and I own 451. Since purchasing the home in 2022, we've enjoyed visiting here with our 3 young boys, 4 and 6. Our time is made more special by the fact that we're able to have spend time with extended family, grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, the like. However, our home is small, it's 1,500 square feet. So it makes it challenging to, host families when they visit, often forced to rent separate accommodations when they're coming to town. Our property is a double lot, so roughly 0.36 acres. The home is located on one lot. The oversized detached garage occupies the second. We're proposing to build a modest, approximately 1,000 square foot in-law suite, DADU, above the detached garage. We've engaged Mr. Poliskin to draft the plans, ensuring that they align with the character of the neighborhood and meet all building standards. The additional space would allow us to comfortably host our extended family with ample space and privacy for our guests while avoiding the significant disruption and cost of expanding our current home or pursuing a complete tear down. Through conversations with Mr. Gorski, we've learned that in order to proceed with this plan, we need to rezone the property from its current designation of R1 to R2. I want to emphasize that while we are requesting the R2 designation, this is not a request to create a multifamily or rental housing unit. We're simply seeking to provide additional living space for our family with one dwelling on each lot of the property, which maintains the residential character of the area. Our intent is that this dwelling complements our existing structure and enhances our ability to spend quality time for extended family. We believe this project will not only benefit our family, but also maintain the integrity and values of the neighborhood. Thank you. Thank you.
I guess. Yeah. So we set back anything as far as where the doing.
The garage already exists.
It already did.
That's right.
And you're just simply putting a second floor on an already existing footprint?
That's right.
Are there any other residences in the area that are R2?
Yeah. And the document that is to be a part of it, that I found within about 2 blocks, there's even more that are R2. So they are in your zoning
So you, in your package, you've got a picture of the zoning.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, could you state your name and
Oh, I'm
address?
sorry, I apologize. I'm looking for two.
Okay,
Good evening. My name's Tuvia Poliskin. I'm an architect, T2 Design. And so this is designed to drawing, working with, planning codes for R1 zone, actually. The idea here is that DADU, which I don't know if you're aware of what DADUs are, but these are occurring throughout the whole United States. State law in Washington, California, and Oregon has state law that has come into play to allow for municipalities to have DADUs or accessory dwelling units on single-family properties. So for the purpose that one, families that have extended families, they can live on it. Two, that you can, in-laws. Two, people who have disabled kids who get older can actually live on the property in their own small house. There are regulations throughout these planning codes that limit the size, lot coverage, parking, standard planning codes. But it was intended to allow for that to happen in R1 zones. Here, we didn't go towards that, in terms of planning codes. So we were given the advice to go to R2 zone, which is multifamily, would be easier than trying to adapt planning code to accept in R1, DADUs would be permitted.
Steve, this is a question for you. If this garage were attached, they wouldn't need to rezone, would they?
If it's a dwelling unit.
You still create it for, it'd be like a mother-in-law suite or it'd create another dwelling.
Yeah.
For the purpose of it. So, on the other hand, if somebody were to expand their home and do that and put a door on it, frankly, nobody'd be the wiser.
It would be.
If it was attached,
Just be an addition.
it would be an addition.
Not at all. No plans to, no.
When you're talking about a dwelling though, you're talking about full kitchen and full bath.
Right, yeah, so they are considered dwelling units, which it creates a dwelling unit, kitchen and bath.
Sounds like spot zoning to me.
Well, it could be, but from what I see at the diagram, I mean, you've got homes that are on each side that green and pink, which are R1. The houses, actually the house behind this house, there's more taller chicken. Am I correct? The one to the north.
I
The ones that
don't know the answer to that.
right, well, I went by your zoning that's described, the color coding. And that property didn't show up as a part 2 property.
Yeah, this coloring there is there. It's almost like a mezzanine.
Yeah, you're coloring, it's difficult to track.
Hard.
The light,
I'm sorry.
the light blue.
The solid light blue, the blue box is the location of the property with the arrow pointing at it.
And I try to use the zoning map to find the R2s. There's actually another one further over here, but I kept that out of the picture. But these are the ones that in my mind were most proximate.
Mhm.
Also, right would be south, right next to that R2. There's actually an apartment building. Sitting there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but it didn't show up as R2 on your zoning map.
So your point is that the solid blue, not the ones that blew up, the ones that they're solid blue are.
The solid blue are the ones that I pulled out, that were
Yeah.
close to the water.
Yeah. I was just talking about outlines rather than
I would give it out like a barrel color, so.
So it looks like on GIS, the the condominiums next to the fire station parking lot or PUD. And then the apartments to the east of those Pearl Street apartments are R2. Everything else up and down both sides of the street and the adjacent blocks are R1.
So it was a PUG, it's by.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though it's multi-family.
Right.
Not yet. I was already talking to you.
Do we want to open it up?
If you're online, if you could please mute.
For public comment? It's just going to be comment, no questions. Just for or against, we're going to give you 2 minutes to speak. If you choose to speak, please give us your name and your address.
Steve, we,
I have four letters also.
this is a public hearing. We need to open.
It should be a vote to. Yeah.
Yeah. Answers, yeah.
Not rezoning, for rezoning. Yeah, so that's why, I just want to give the parameters and then.
So we need to open it up.
Accept the motion.
Move to open the public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. You got a timer, or you got your time?
I've got a timer.
Okay. So if anybody wants to comment, please stand up so we know.
We have people online as well. If that, I have letters I can read.
We have the gentleman here.
I don't want to put anybody on the spot.
Loaders.
Okay. Did you already send one? Oh. So I have letters and emails to read. The first one I'll read to Culver Planning Commission regarding petition number 2024 P17. Dear Sirs, in regard to this petition, I would like to state that the letter sent to local residents was lacking information. The notice of hearing letter did not state the intended purpose for the rezoning of property. I believe that the area homeowners need to know what is to be done on the property. Why is an R2 request being made? My suggestion is to table the request this evening. A second letter should be sent to the affected homeowners stating the reason and intended use of the R2 request. Secondly, I found out by doing my due diligence that the R2 request is for a second-story addition to an existing garage. The addition is for an apartment above the garage. This would require an R2 zoning change. This is spot zoning in a neighborhood of R1 homeowners. We cannot, the apartment addition be made and remain R1. Does the garage have to be attached to the house? My long-range concern with the approval of this R2 spot zoning is that the future owner could raise the home and garage and build a 4 or 6 unit building. This is why the Plan Commission needs to protect our neighbors from spot zoning. For the reasons of inadequate disclosure of information and the request to spot zone in a neighborhood, my wife and I are opposed to this request. Respectfully, Tom and Teresa Hughouse, 430 State Street. Next one. To Town of Culver, petition number 2024 P17. Dear Sirs, I'd like to express my concern regarding rezoning of parcel number, it states at 451 North State, Culver, Indiana, 46511 from R1 to R2. The notice of hearing letter local residents received from the building commissioner was vague. Why is there a need to rezone the property and how will this affect the future of the neighborhood? As I understand R2 zoning, this would mean multiple housing on the property. While I have no objections to Patrick and Colleen Sullivan building an apartment above their garage, which I have come to know, what would prevent future owners from building apartments, condominiums, or townhomes on the property? Why the need for rezoning the property? Excuse me. I feel the Plan Commission should reschedule their hearing and a second letter to local residents addressing what is being done, why the need to rezone, and what effect this will have on the neighborhood. Due to the inadequate disclosure information, the request to spot zone our neighborhood, I'm opposed to this request. Respectfully submitted, Nancy Albert, 439 State Street. Next letter, dear Mr. Gorski. This was an email. We reside year-round at 433 Liberty Street and have a clear view of 451 State Street from our home. Spot zoning is not appropriate, period. R2 opens the door for too many by right users that do not belong in our single-family neighborhood. We are vehemently opposed to rezoning this parcel. Please let us know if there's anything else we need to do to express our opposition. Thank you for your time and assistance with this matter. Sincerely, Bill and Paige Laundrie. The next letter was sent to Kevin Dante, our town manager. From Patricia Stallings. To the Culver Plan Commission, we're concerned you would create spot zoning as petition number 2024 P17 would change the R1 zoning to R2. In doing so, the neighborhood would be unprotected from future multifamily development. Additionally, the new Culver Destination 2024 Comprehensive Plan does not encourage spot zoning. Thank you for considering our opinion. Patty and Mike Stallings, 506 East Lake Shore Drive, Culver. Those are the letters I have. I don't know if anybody online or in the room wants to.
Paul Berry, 921 South Plymouth. Agree with the folks on the letter about spot zoning, because it's the future you got to worry about. As far as the actual request, I think it's fantastic to do that. I'm sure we have carriage houses in the town that over time have become bunkies or whatever. So I think there's a two-pronged approach. One is you really bureaucratically have to do an R2, or do you keep it R1 and satisfy the build request? Then the next thing the gentleman mentioned about the architect, Florida and different places, auxiliary units and that, mother-in-law suites are not uncommon. So I think there's a second look at the future, kind of see what Marshall County thinks about ADUs and stuff like that.
Thank you. Is there anybody online who wishes to speak?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, could we have your name and address, please?
My name is Sarah Jones. I'm at 416 Harding Court.
Okay,
I
thank you.
kind of have a question and a comment. I'm not opposed to what the homeowners want to do above the garage, but I do believe it was mentioned that there are two parcels there. The garage is on one parcel, the home is on a separate parcel. So would they be able to do the addition to the garage since it's a single building on that one parcel?
In our information in front of us, it looks like it's both on the same parcel as the picture from GIS shows us.
Okay, I thought they said it was two separate parcels. So,
I don't see where there's two lots that separated. out
I
here.
caught that comment as well. It looks like it's two lots that have been combined into one parcel.
So it's what parcel?
Okay.
One lot.
Would they be able to split that into two parcels? And then, I'm not opposed to what they want to do, obviously, but the rezoning to an R2 does concern me.
We'd have to look at the size of the lot. I don't have the exact square footage in front of me. If it would be creating non-conforming lots, which we can't do. I don't know the
Okay.
exact size of it.
Is there anybody else online?
I don't know if they heard you. If there's anybody else online who'd like to speak. I'm not seeing anything.
And motion, or I'll accept a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. All right. After listening to
Yeah. I'll mute everybody.
after listening to the letters and the comments, does any commissioners have any other questions they wish to ask?
I just got a concern here. In R2, as far as accessory structures, I mean, I know under development standards, We have 16-foot height for accessory structure. But in R2, is that height, because I can't find it. No, dude, what's the height restriction on it?
It's the same.
Accessory structure.
I have it in front of me, but R2 for accessory structure, I have it in front of me.
Unless you change it, it's still.
So it would be considered an accessory,
There would be a second dwelling at that point.
accessory structure is like a shed, a storage, but.
Or a garage, but if they build above the garage, it's now a second residence or. In R2, you can do that.
I mean, that's the only way.
R2 is multifamily.
Family, but. Multifamily, you can have two different ones. But is that what this is gonna be?
Putting the question the other way around, is there in fact a way to do it under R1 with a sufficient amount of figuring, with lack of a more technical term?
I'd have to look if it's even permissible under R1 as a use that. You wouldn't be able to get the height. You'd have to have at least a couple different types of variances. I don't think it is. So there it is. Yeah. Well, it doesn't say that specifically in our ordinance.
But how we.
It is.
It might be a quicker route, if I may. Sorry, town manager. The only way R1 would be to be able to split that parcel. It would be easier if the setbacks are not adjusted. I know you can't create a non-conforming lot. However, if you can get it conforming and then give a variance on the setbacks, that might be the easiest way to go to keep it R1. That's what
I was looking at too.
That would be, because then if you split it into a conforming lot and then look to see where your setbacks need to be, and then ask for those variants for two separate structures, that would be the only way you can avoid not having spot zoning.
Yeah, but if it's combined, if it's been combined once into one lot before, and then you're taking it back out and reversing it.
But you can,
I think we closed the public hearing.
Well, understand something. I'm not suggesting that's the path. What I'm saying is that might be
It's town.
a path, number one.
Right.
Okay.
And they'd have to come from the BCA for variance, if that's the case.
It would, sir.
the hearing has been closed.
Yes.
I'm
it
sorry.
does. And I.
No more comments from the audience?
Looks like the dimensions on that lot on GIS are 120 by 120 foot wide by 132. So 120 by 132. Does that sound right?
It was
So-
originally a bunch of 60-foot lots.
Right, so
The conforming lot 7,500
so
square
there's
feet.
no way to make that a conforming lot.
I mean, right now under, just to add to it, if the accessory structure you have now not meeting the setback, it wouldn't be no guarantee that you would even get the variance.
I'm not sure.
We
Right.
can't guarantee a variance.
Right.
I mean, as he said, it might be easier, but it may not even be.
So, I mean, just thinking about what it is the Sullivans want to accomplish here. In fact, we've got letters from neighbors that say, it's like, I think it's fine if they want to have this. Problem seems to be that our zoning ordinance is you go from an R1 and then you jump to an R2 where for example, the letter from the Stallings and others say, well, it's not so much the Sullivans, but it's what could happen 10, 20 years from now, if you no longer own the property, and now there's a 6-7 unit apartment building. So, practically, what they're proposing is not a lot different than a lot of situations on the West Shore, where there are, separate independent dwellings above garages that are not attached, not even on the same side of the street. I mean, for me, I'm trying to think through, is there a solution here that takes us out of that realm of, we're not going to create a possibility of a 6, 8 unit apartment building. But just to me, there doesn't seem to be harm in what it is they want to do.
Which kind of brings it back in my mind to what you had asked earlier. If it was attacked, would it be a problem?
Mhm.
And it gets into the weeds of if you put a covered walkway between, is it now attached?
Because we all kinds of properties around the lake where that's all that's happened.
Yeah,
I mean, you know, 10,000.
I just want to cut you off, but I really don't want to compare L1 district to the R2.
Yeah.
I mean, we got to combine it. We've got to concentrate on the exact zoning that we got now to what we want this question to change it to.
Would adding on to the existing home be a feasible option?
Not from an aesthetic standpoint. I mean, this is an old Sears home. You know, I mean, it's got very high arches in the rooftop. Yeah, I mean, frankly, you would be knocked down everything and build something.
I'm actually seeing the spot zoning is the biggest problem. Yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and move forward with findings of facts, and then we'll hold a vote one way or the other. How does that sound? Yes, sir.
I get, it's very difficult in terms of, we'll say planning code, the existing planning codes and the uses. Because if we look at, which is interesting, the R1 zone. And this just feels, you know, I look at it as an architect, planner, and I've been doing this for over 35 years, multiple states. And so I've engaged this before. It's not a permitted use, because that was already documented before, right? But there's special use. Interesting, right? This is dealing with planning code. So in the R1 zone, we have a special uses, nursing and convalescent home, which means that there's multiple people. We talk about density. Let's get to, you know, like the structure and density of people and workers coming and going, taking care of these people that are allowed in the R1 zone.
But there's one of those at the end of that block, the northern end of that block.
Right. You also have in the R1 zone, that is a special use, a bed and breakfast. Bed and breakfasts are people that come for a week, 2 days, 3 days, whatever, but it is more density, more people on a property that are congregating, correct? So these, when I look at like your planning code, these are special uses that can be permitted based upon whatever the other criteria would be. To me, that's the core, like when you really look at planning, you know, in terms of what does it mean? It's about people living, congregating, density, how many people are on a property, how much traffic does it occur, how much parking is, right? This is what well, the community is about. So in these special uses, the idea of accessory dwelling units actually exists, but it's not yet defined.
I will push back that a lot of these, I think, have come about from grandfathered situations in the town of Culver where they have all been, from my recollection, I might be wrong, but a singular building. Because we had a bed and breakfast just north of here. It was a singular family that lived there, but they rented out all the other rooms in the house for a bed and breakfast. Nursing facility, similar situation. They rent out a room to somebody so they can take care of them. Or they had a nurse living with them and rented the room to them in that situation. And so it's not an auxiliary structure. It is the structure being used as these special uses. So it's not two buildings, one primary residence and then another nursing home.
So if somebody online that wants to speak,
I mean, we didn't close the public hearing.
So
I just,
I'm trying to get this unmuted.
well, the public hearing's closed. Steve?
The hearing's closed.
Well,
How,
well, so it's, yeah,
I mean, Joel, I hear what you're saying, but hypothetically, if the Sullivans built a breezeway to connect their primary home with this residence, would we even be here? And I know you don't like it, Russ,
Yeah.
but there,
Zoning
there's,
doesn't allow
there's
that.
examples all around town of that.
There've been breezeways put in and have not been taught, so to speak, but breezeways are not making attached. They'll have been enclosed with an outside door.
Okay,
And then
suppose they did that. Suppose they did that,
in other words, do an addition on the house, basically.
but that incorporates the accessory structure. We're not here looking at R2. They just get a building permit. Maybe is that accurate?
Depending on where it's at.
to me, it's speculation right now. It's hard to comment on.
And we have
because
to see-
everybody's going to know it, or unless it's like a.
I mean, it has to be- I mean, we would be required showing setbacks, you're gonna have your, pervious, impervious information. All the information is required.
Yeah.
Before.
I'm sorry the public hearing's closed, but I have a history. I'm a predecessor of the building commissioner, and I'd like to say something.
Public hearing's been closed.
It is.
Just told somebody online they can't speak.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Things have come up since the public hearing that need to be challenged.
Would anybody like to reopen the public hearing? I'll take a motion.
Sure.
Can
Okay.
we do that procedurally? Is that okay?
You could open and close it as many times.
That sounds fair. Let's do that.
I'm trying to be really good, too. I apologize.
John, right, this is board.
Yeah, John has made a motion.
So seconded.
All those in favor of reopening the public hearing?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. All right, I apologize, Russ. We're gonna take care of the person online first.
So I'm trying to get to unmuted and I can't from my side. It doesn't appear.
Okay.
So who was it that called you? Somebody text you about,
It's okay. It's fine.
okay.
Yeah, it's fine, Steve.
All right, Mr. Mason, sorry about that. Thank you for your patience.
Russ Mason, former building commissioner. There's several new people on the board. I would like to just refresh everyone's memory about two residents on the same property and why that's an issue. It goes back many, many years. It has to do with renting out the other property for income. And the planning commission has always been opposed to that. There have been people who have tried to connect these units via a so-called breezeway. And it's up to the BZA to determine whether that's truly legitimate or not. It's not really a planning commission decision. But you need to know the background on that. And the Sullivans, you know, I'm sure a great family are gonna use the property properly, but as it's been pointed out to you a couple of times, if you zone this R2, you are setting it in perpetuation for 10 years from now, 15 years, 3 years from now. Who knows if their circumstances change and they have to leave the property and sell it. The next party coming in could put in a 6-unit apartment building. I don't think that's what we want in that area. So the decision you make on R2 really is not just for them, it's for the future.
That is the reason for spot zoning, for not. I should say.
Thank you.
Yes, Kevin Dante, 7115 on Glory Drive. There's been a suggestion that the table the matter in order to explore possibly options staying within the R1, obviously. A consideration of R2 obviously involves spot zoning. And if it does go to vote, there's repercussions in terms of being able to proceed with the project. It sounds like there's been several things mentioned. in terms of breezeways and also some logisticals. Would it be fair to say that that needs to be presented as an option too, that this can be tabled to further explore possibilities to stay within the zoning ordinance? That's my comment.
I think it'd be appropriate, but you know, that too.
Thank you. Sir?
The other one that I'll suggest, and this deals with R1 zone, but planning commission, is to look at accessory dwelling units being permitted uses in the R1 zone.
That's not up to us.
Who would that be up to?
It would be up to rewriting
See, that's
rewriting what is permitted in R1, which would have to be a majority votes from this board, and then would have to go to town council, and they would either disapprove or approve. So, I mean, you're talking about a process that's gonna,
Once.
I have somebody else online, but I don't know how to unmute them. If somebody wants to, maybe.
Yeah, so this is Jeff Mansfield, 222 Lakeview. Assume you can hear me, but I guess my only question, would PUD zoning be an option for the property to allow them to do this?
That's not what's being discussed today.
I mean, that's an idea to be floated out there to the individuals if they want to table this, or if we want to table it, but we don't have anything directly to comment on that today. I apologize. Is there anyone else online?
Close the public session.
Second.
All those in favor of closing the public session?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
I would love to have a legal solution that would allow the building to happen.
Mhm.
I don't see what that legal solution is with the information in front of us. And so I'm reluctant to say no in a way that prevents any further exploration. And I assume that if we go ahead and have a finding of facts, then we've closed the door. I'm the new boy here.
we can do the finding of facts,
But,
and they still have
They can,
option to.
but they still have the option.
Gotcha.
We will-
That's their decision
Yeah,
ultimately.
we can do the finding of facts. Our points are not made, but
Gotcha.
we'll open it up to you before we go to finding of facts. Would you like to pull this? And we'll keep going. No,
Just a comment, if they vote no, it's a year wait to reapply.
that's why we want to give you that
Oh, so
option.
that's important.
Yeah, that's important.
That's why we got about now.
And that's why I participated.
That's, that's just pure process.
Well, we can
right?
go to the finding of facts now, and if you wish to table it, you'll know where you stand, but if we vote on it and vote no, it'll be a
Right.
year before you can come back.
Right, so that would be,
Yes. We'll hear the finding of, I think for us, it's hear the finding of facts and then pull it.
Well, the finding
You-
of facts are just things we comment about for each individual commissioner
Okay.
to personally take a moment to check all the boxes of how we feel about it. None of this is public. So we have a checklist of, we ask the questions and everybody sits quietly and marks it. And when they get done and we put it to a vote is when you find out how we vote.
Oh,
And
okay.
and if I may,
There's no value to me to proceed to the finding of facts.
and if I may clarify instead of table, and you have the option to withdraw.
they can withdraw, we can
You
take.
still have that option after the finding of facts. You'll no longer have the option if you vote.
But you won't know the finding of facts.
But you won't know the finding of fact.
Yes.
If you're.
It's a good figure out.
Right, unless you notice the smoke going up in the corner, but
Right, yeah.
But I think it's important to clarify there's a difference between withdrawing and tabling. The board can table it by vote at your request. If you withdraw it, then you just withdraw this request and you can reapply it another time. If you table it, it has to be scheduled for another meeting with a specific date.
And it would be the same application, correct?
Yeah.
Not able to change the terms of the application, right?
Table, if it's tabled, we don't have to re-advertise it.
If they come in front of the planning commission. Right. So that's the only reason they're here.
Yeah.
So, that's right. I mean, if they can figure out a way to get around that, they don't have to come in front of us, they have to come in front of the BCA.
Right.
So I'm saying if we
Okay.
table it, it's as it
They have
stands.
to come back- They have to come back with us, for the zoning.
Okay.
So again,
Which
You get more flexibility with the withdrawal. You can find a solution that doesn't involve the plan. If you table it, you're coming back.
right,
There you go.
right, which doesn't, is illogical, right, in terms of coming back based upon the conditions that we're dealing. with.
Correct.
Yeah, that's my impression.
So it would be a withdrawal based upon,
I don't think you necessarily have to give us a reason. If you just, you just want to withdraw, you don't have to give us an answer.
That's.
You like pizza better?
You can
Yeah.
withdraw, because I'm not.
We'll withdraw. Okay. Before y'all go, Mr. Pulaski, could you spell your name for me so I get it correct in the minutes, please?
right?
Yes.
First name is Tuvia. Tuvia.
Uh-huh.
Last name is Poliskin, Poliskin. And I'm an architect.
Poliskin. All right, thank you very much.
You were close.
Can I ask questions about what other avenues exist outside when you have, basically R1 defined uses?
Define uses, and it's,
It's not a use.
yeah, and you got the book available, what the ordinance in call for, what the will not allow. But it's open to the public, I guess. So
Is that what this is? Article 8, section 4.
yeah, that's gonna take.
Where it goes all the details.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should be looking in you should be looking at your special usage.
If you are willing to stick around for after the.
Will fit in that.
We can give you avenues to go to, but we can't vote on anything because you have withdrawn, so. We're just gonna move forward for right now, but we'll
The use.
make sure to double
Like,
back.
if it's in the use,
Assist you in one way we
that's-
can.
For the structure.
You'll just come back with the fee.
You have to get variance.
Exactly.
When you're ready to.
Which would be a.
Before, whenever you.
He's gonna be the person, the guy to give me the point, best to have it.
Yeah.
So would,
If you don't mind.
So- would a variance for the overall height restriction with it, if it's still zoned R1, but you get a variance to get past that 16-foot height restriction, would that then fall within a special use?
You actually, I need to special use in R1 to have a dwelling.
No, it doesn't say
And it does not allow.
the ordinance does not limit, none of our zoning districts limit. In any of the ordinances limit a single dwelling on a piece of property.
Willing to move forward?
Yeah, just
Just
one more thing.
No, that's all right. We
And
wanna-
brief, Joel, but even as I look at the comprehensive plan, I look at the findings of fact, very first one's comprehensive plan. Well, having worked for 2 years on that comprehensive plan, the comprehensive plan says we have to have a variety and mix of housing in this town. So
But
I think it's not out of step with comprehensive plan. I think our zoning ordinance is out of step with comprehensive plan.
Yes.
So in terms of what it is, the Sullivans want to accomplish here. So I'm just put that out for our consideration.
And more, it's actually got vagueness as far as the ambiguity between the two.
Yeah, and one of the things.
Because mixture of families is like, we've got an area that's R2, we've got an area that's R1, which that is a mix of.
I would just say, having been on the steering committee that wrote the comprehensive plan.
Right.
That was the intent of the comprehensive plan, that we had some mix, but we just didn't go from R1 to multi-story apartment buildings. It was exactly to accomplish, among other things, what it is the Sullivans want to accomplish. And given the astronomical cost of housing in Culver.
And one of the things that we said here before the comprehensive plan was adopted was that we would have to rewrite the zoning
Yeah,
ordinances as a result of the comprehensive plan. So it isn't that like that's a news item. We knew that going into it.
yeah, we're just not there.
Yeah, and that was 2 months ago.
Anybody else?
I love what you guys are doing. I fully support it. I think that's good, cheap housing. I think that's a good way to bring people to culvert, and that's what we need. I hate the fact that, given the dimensions of your property, if we voted to rezone that R2, it could be replaced with a nearly 25,000 square foot building.
Sure.
With the overall height restrictions and everything. We could put a 3-story apartment building there, and I don't think that's responsible growth for us. So that's my opinion on that. I'll find a way to
Just
get
let you
back.
know my opinion. I was on this planning commission longer than anybody. I was planning commission member, when Russ, actually it was his building commission. We were talking about this now, as far as the breezeways or whatever you want to have, we dealt with them. Russ and I both. And one step forward as far as the spot zoning, we addressed that quite a bit at that time too. And it was part of the comprehensive plan in the past. I know this new one, it doesn't go as far as the other one did, I guess, as far as that goes. But with the ordinances are being done at this time, I mean, it's in the process. But I can't say what that's gonna be, and I can't go by it, but I have to stick with whatever it is.
I guess that kind of brings it up. For this situation being a perfect example of the back and forth of the R1 to R2, would this dictate possibly creating an R3?
We've talked about that in the past, yes.
Okay, just food for thought.
And that food's been chewed on.
Anybody else? Then we're gonna go on to TRC review.
PRC had one meeting in July and it had no meetings in August.
Does that conclude with this?
I have a comment.
Okay.
If I may. In some of the letters that I read, it addressed the lack of information and wanting to send out additional information. That there wasn't enough on it. So to start with, and I'll actually read the statutes. The legal notice that was published was totally compliant with state statutes. Typically, there would be more information in it, which is a nice thing to do. That was on me for not adding that additional information, the reason. But the zoning, the purpose of it was listed for rezoning from R1 to R2 in the legal notice. So it wouldn't be practical physically or in general to send out new letters and have another hearing. But if we look at Indiana Code 5-3-1-2, that's Title 5, Article 3, Section 2, Paragraph A. This section applies only when notice of an event is required to be given by publication in accordance with this chapter. If the event is a public hearing or meeting concerning any matter not specifically mentioned in subsections C through I, notice shall be published one time at least 10 days before the date of the hearing or meeting. It does not specify the level of detail for that, for the legal hearing. And just another note on this also in Indiana Code 5-3-1-2.3, validity of notice containing errors or omissions. There was not an error or omission. However, at section 2.3a, a notice published in accordance with this chapter or any other Indiana statute is valid even though the notice contains errors or omissions, as long as 1, a reasonable person would not be misled by the error or omission, and 2, the notice is in substantial compliance with the time and publication requirements applicable under this chapter or any other Indiana statute under which the notice is published.
Thank you very much for that.
So I just want to make sure it's clear that it was totally compliant with state statutes, the legal notices that were published.
No, it's very much appreciated.
And just to add on to that, and that's the purpose of the hearing also, is to give the public and plan commission additional information.
So is the long and short of that, I mean, the notices were legally fine, but there's nothing that would preclude having additional information.
Correct.
Okay, just want to make sure I captured that right.
And I would typically have added a little bit more. I didn't in this case, so That's on me, but everything was still legal and compliant. I'm just, people are accustomed to getting additional above and beyond information, which is fine. I don't think there's any such thing as over communication. But I just wanted to clarify that.
Very much. You want to move on to old business, new business?
I've got old and new, I guess.
Okay.
But where are we on our new ordinance? Right now, we've got Mitsubishi working on those.
Oh, Jeanette Cerisi is now a judge.
Right.
She's no longer working as an attorney. Sean Cerisi has taken over that work. I've been in touch with Sean. Our first draft will probably be available by best guess the end of the year. It's a substantial amount of work. And as was identified here tonight, we're lacking in, Culver's actually doesn't have a lot of zoning ordinances compared to a lot of other communities. And as was identified tonight, it looks like we should probably have another R residential district zoning ordinance that may cover more. That ultimately is up to the Plan Commission, this body here tonight.
Right. I can fight between those two because we don't have enough options, I guess, for. We've got grandfathered lots in non-conforming and we try to make it.
So to add, I am working on an institutional zoning district also that would be for the academy. And also, if this body so desires to ask me to work on another residential zoning district to present to you, I'd be happy to do that also.
I'm wondering if it would be beneficial for us to have a work session with Steve and Sean to talk about where this project is, and as we think about other sort of problems we've encountered
I say amen to that.
in recent and past history, where we don't have enough tools in the zoning ordinance.
I agree with you 100%. Because I mean, I personally feel that with all these ordinances going, we're gonna have to be looking at those before it can ever be approved. Or it's ever recommended to the town council. And I think coming in after a year's designing from them without us, I'm not saying that bad way, I'm just saying it's gonna take us a while to get updated to what that is. It's gonna be what this is to that. I've argued.
If that's the direction you'd like to head in, I'd recommend this council request funding for the attorney services for that prior to scheduling the meeting and make sure that the funds are available to do that through the town council.
I was gonna say about how many hours of service will we need for us to be able to have the questions with the attorney? Do we need to allocate for 5 hours, 10 hours?
I think it was gonna be whatever council gives us.
Well, I think the council is going to want that, know a number also, and I think that may be good for this body to put a list of questions together that we can get a quote from our town attorney on what it would cost.
It could be actually retained as a flat fee, not to exceed number, and that's usually in these kind of console ways. That would be more advisable than the hour fees. Just as a consultation, and then the only thing you have to do is be able to provide the scope of work that will be discussed, and then they can assign a flat fee to it, and maybe a better way of pursuing it, not the only way, but just a suggestion.
Okay, much appreciated, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And I might add to too, Mr. President, as far as like what Don's saying. You might come to the meeting, workshop meeting with concerns that you already have according to certain districts or whether you are one, two, that one.
Well, I guess it kind of begs the question is, do we want to have a meeting of us, a workshop to get all of our questions gathered together into a
Right, yes.
packet and
Yes.
then have the
Absolutely.
attorney.
That's what
Absolutely.
that's what
I agree with that.
Before, so, yes.
You're not gonna know what the questions are to see what.
Well, we're not gonna know what the legal bill is until
Right.
Yeah.
Sean knows what our concerns and questions are.
And we can even give him our questions before we even have. the
Yeah.
discussion.
Mhm.
So he can, okay,
Right,
prepare.
but I just know that one discussion, and that's gonna draw more questions too, so.
Well, one thought is if you have a work session without the attorney present to develop your list of questions.
Be a lot less expensive.
And then that would be, help provide information for the scope of work.
Yes.
And you have been in some of this, I mean, part of like some of the orders you've been going along with, you're looking up state statute part of what we know some are need to be changed, whatever. But you're aware of those as far as bringing information to a work.
Nowhere near the level of an attorney who specializes in
No,
that.
no, I'm talking about part of what you can actually perform this in a work session as far as anything like that.
I can look up codes. But attorneys do a little more than that, but I can look up codes and get you the baseline stuff.
So is everybody amenable to 3 weeks from now? I think it'd be the first week in October, maybe. Have to look at the calendar.
Sure.
Okay, the week of October 7th.
Monday, October 7th?
Well, just see the week of the 7th.
Oh,
Yeah, is that the week that we're contemplating?
yeah. It would be the week before the regularly scheduled commission or planning commission meeting.
Yeah, town council has it on Thursday, all right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. So 5:30 on October 8th?
Yeah, finally.
No, not on this Tuesday.
Oh,
Thank you.
Okay, because it'd be great for any of us to be here as we can.
Nice try.
yeah, that's what I want to.
Yeah.
If anybody's got a time that conflicts with it and wants to suggest a Friday, you know. Okay.
We got Tuesday, Wednesday.
Really tight regardless.
Okay.
6:30 be better?
Pardon?
6:30 be better for everybody?
So 6:30 instead of 5:30?
Yeah.
Okay.
If it'd be better for, I mean.
Split the difference.
Is there a
Am I missing solar meeting
The solar meeting's before planning commission the week after.
the week after thing?
Because we always try and stack those meetings.
I was looking at my calendar, I didn't see it.
Okay, so we're saying a work session for 6:30 on Tuesday, October 8th.
Correct.
Just a reminder.
And then just to make sure for the posting of public notice of this, do we have to put exactly what the parameters are of what this special session is or workshop is?
Workshop.
So that would starts Tuesday, October 8th. Is that what I heard? At what time?
6:30.
I could take care of the legal notice. If we're just going to discuss ordinances in general.
That's basically, I just want to make sure we,
It doesn't, it just, doesn't have to be very specific. It's just so that we're gonna have this work session. It'll be open to the public. They don't, you can,
speak.
they don't necessarily get to speak during that because it's a work session.
Who speaks there now? That's been the practice.
That may be been practicing wrong for 20 years like we did, so.
I have to grab my great big book of Karen's explaining the introductions, but I think there are some that do not have public hearings. And there are some that are involving public hearings. The public is always privy to them. But I don't want to answer that without looking at.
How many work sessions have you been involved in since you've been here?
About 8 to 10, Russ.
And haven't people spoken during those?
Yes, but my experience is not the end all. I'm still agreeing. That's why I'm saying I'm not
If the
answering.
council doesn't challenge it.
all right, moving on.
Moving on.
They're having their own meeting back there. Kind of ours.
Thanks. Yeah, go ahead. I'm not having a meeting. I'm just answering a question.
Any more old business, new business? All right, moving on to citizen input.
Now you go.
Say goodnight, Grace.
Okay. Commissioner members' concerns and input.
I'm good.
Chester.
Fine.
Nope. Nothing?
Nothing, thank you.
All right, accept a motion to adjourn.
So move.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Ever opposed to my